For a typical renewal, we'd expect a client that's in an existing building to save over the face rent or the asking rent the building is publishing. The reason for such is that it's cheaper for the landlord to keep a tenant, and typically the tenant needs less improvements to keep them happy. In addition to where base rent starts in the discussion, the escalation thereof is going to become important as well. Often people are looking to match inflation at a 3% rate, though you can have a quicker or slower escalation factored in as well. TI, or tenant improvement, is another major aspect of a renewal agreement. It's going to determine how much credit the landlord gives to the tenant to refresh their space. The tenant rep broker will discuss with the tenant what needs they might have to make the space best work for their goals. If less improvements are necessary, then there's more room to achieve either abated rent or other offsets. Focusing on the abated rent, we look to see as much as 1 month per year of the renewal lease. If you're in a full service or a modified gross lease, you most likely have a base year or an expense stop. What this means is the landlord has agreed to pay a certain amount of the operational cost of the property, and the tenant is responsible for everything thereafter. You want to renew your base year or expense stop to the current level every time you renew your lease, or else you may be responsible for multiple dollars per foot in additional expenses. Additionally, a tenant has the right to audit the expenses that are being passed through them on a yearly basis. This allows the tenant to ensure that any costs being passed through to them are true and accurate for the operations of the building. A good practice for any tenant during renewal is to audit their square footage. This is done by hiring a space planner or architect to come in and measure the space to confirm the space is the same size the lease says it is. If not, they may be paying for more space than they actually have. In addition to those major points, some other areas to touch on during a renewal would include a tax appeal if the landlord's not currently doing one, competitive bids for property insurance, both of which are to achieve a lower operational cost for the building. A tenant might be able to achieve preferred parking spots, reserved parking spots, or reduced cost parking. They may look for reduced price or free membership to the gym of the building if they don't already have it. There may be some signage available that wasn't available when they first signed their lease, whether that be within the building or potentially building signage on the exterior. When I talk to clients, I tell them, use a broker. I'd love to be your broker, but if not me, use someone. You probably have a great relationship with your landlord, but you still want an expert to come and look after your interest in the renewal. There's too much money on the table to not have your interest looked over.